Your brain is not fixed. It physically rewires itself based on what you do every single day. And neuroscientists have found that the habits most people treat as optional, the walk, the sleep, the break, are the exact levers that determine how sharp and focused your brain becomes. In this video, we're breaking down 8 of them. Before we get into it, none of these are complicated. None of them require a gym membership or a strict schedule. What they share is that they each work through a specific biological mechanism, and understanding that mechanism is what makes them stick. We're going from morning to night, in roughly the order your day runs. Let's get into it. Morning walk. On days you skip the morning and go straight to your phone, you feel foggy and reactive for hours. On days you get outside first, thinking feels clearer, and it's not a coincidence. Walking outdoors in the first hour triggers 3 things. Optic flow suppresses the amygdala and lowers anxiety. Morning sunlight sets your circadian clock and times your cortisol peak correctly. And the movement releases BDNF, the protein that builds new neurons and strengthens connections between them. A morning walk doesn't just improve your mood. It changes your actual brain chemistry for the hours that follow. A 2022 study in Nature found that just 10 minutes of walking significantly boosts hippocampal connectivity, the region responsible for memory and creative thinking. Brain food. After fast food or a sugary snack, you feel sharp for 20 minutes, then hit a wall. Slower thinking, harder to read, hard to care about what you were doing. The brain is 60% fat and needs a constant supply of omega-3, specifically DHA, to maintain the myelin sheaths that control how fast signals travel. Antioxidants from berries and dark greens reduce neuroinflammation, the hidden driver of brain fog. Complex carbs provide steady glucose. Sugar spikes cause the crashes that impair working memory. You're not just feeding your body, you're determining your thinking quality for the next 4 hours. UCLA research found that a diet high in omega-3 changes the expression of over 200 genes in the brain, including genes linked to memory, mood, and learning. The 90-minute rule. Around 90 minutes into focused work, your brain feels like it's running through mud. Every sentence takes twice as long. Most people push through. That pushing is the problem. The brain operates in natural Ultradian cycles of roughly 90 minutes. After each cycle, it needs a genuine break, not scrolling, not email, but actual rest. Working through the dip floods the brain with stress hormones and degrades everything you produce. A real 10-20-minute rest resets the neurochemicals and lets the next block run at full capacity. This isn't laziness. It's how the brain was designed to work. Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman found that a short rest after a 90-minute focus block can double the rate at which the brain consolidates what it just learned. Digital fast. You try to read for 20 minutes and reach for your phone 3 times before finishing a page, not because anything happened, but because your brain was trained to seek the next input. Every phone check fires a dopamine signal. Do it enough, and the reward threshold rises. Deep work simply can't compete. A digital fast of 1 to 2 hours lets the prefrontal cortex regain control, restoring focus and the ability to stay with a thought. It forces the default mode network online, the network where original ideas actually form. Boredom is not a problem. It's the condition where insight happens. Researchers found that a smartphone on your desk, face down and silent, measurably reduces working memory because part of the brain never stops resisting the urge to check it. Curiosity hour. You spend an hour going down a rabbit hole, a documentary, a random article, something unrelated to your work. The next day, you still remember almost everything, unlike things you studied on purpose and forgot. Curiosity changes the neurochemical context of learning. When you're genuinely interested, the brain releases norepinephrine, which primes the hippocampus to record information more deeply. Stronger synapses form under curiosity than under obligation, because the brain tags those memories as meaningful. 1 hour a day exploring something purely for interest. No goal, no output, maintains neuroplasticity and protects against cognitive aging. A UC Davis study found that curious people retained more information not just on their topic of interest, but on unrelated things shown at the same time, because curiosity primes the whole hippocampus for learning. Cold shower. You take a cold shower expecting to hate every second, and you do. But within 60 seconds of finishing, you feel more awake and more capable than you did after an hour of coffee. Cold exposure triggers a massive release of norepinephrine from the brain's locus coeruleus, up to 300% above baseline. Norepinephrine simultaneously sharpens focus, reduces brain inflammation, and elevates mood for hours. The cold also builds the anterior midcingulate cortex, the region directly associated with willpower and resilience, simply by practicing choosing discomfort. You're not just waking up your body, you're training the part of the brain that decides how hard things feel. Studies show a 2-3 minute cold shower raises norepinephrine by 200-300%, an effect comparable to some stimulant medications without the crash. A light movement. You've been stuck on a problem for an hour. You stand up to get water, and the answer comes to you before you reach the kitchen. It wasn't distraction. It was the movement. Even low-intensity movement. A 5-minute walk, standing up, stretching, increases cerebral blood flow by 10-15% and releases BDNF. The shift from sedentary to mobile also disengages the focused convergent thinking network and activates the default mode network, the one that generates unexpected connections and solutions you can't force by sitting still. You don't need to exercise more. You need to stop sitting for more than 90 minutes at a stretch. A University of Illinois study found that 20 minutes of low-intensity walking improved creative thinking by 81%, more than sitting quietly and trying to solve the same problem. A sleep defense. You pull a late night, get 5 hours, and spend the next day thinking through fog. Decisions take twice as long. You're irritable, and by afternoon you can't remember what you were doing 2 minutes ago. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system becomes 60% more active and flushes out toxic waste, including beta amyloid, a protein that accumulates and contributes to Alzheimer's. Sleep is also when the hippocampus replays the day's learning and transfers it into long-term storage. Without that transfer, whatever you studied, practiced, or figured out simply doesn't consolidate. Sleep isn't recovery. It's the most cognitively productive part of your day. Cutting sleep by just 1 hour per night for a week produces impairment equivalent to being legally drunk. And because sleep deprivation also impairs self-assessment, most people genuinely don't notice. None of these habits are complicated. The walk, the meal, the break, the cold shower, the sleep, they're all ordinary. What makes them powerful is that each one works through a specific mechanism your brain actually responds to. You don't have to do all 8. Pick the 2 or 3 you're consistently skipping and start there. Which one surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious which one people are already doing without realizing why it works. Subscribe for more new video every week on psychology and behavior. See you in the next one.